All right, before we start today's video, it's really upsetting news. I just want to share a lot of car accidents in Dunnville this week. I don't understand, guys. Driving is a privilege, not a right. Like, pay attention. I think 8 people died. Anyway, today's video we're going to show you how to make your own workbenches using street signs. You can find these anywhere. Here we go. All right, so these are the 2 benches that I got from V&R. They do demolition in buildings all over the place, and this was in a GM dealership. So I scooped up these 2, and then this is the leftover steel from V&R that we used to build the midget on. Also, I cut the frames out of the C10 out of these. So there was a little bit left, so I brought them to Vic Powell in town. They're a big machine shop, and they bent the lips on it at the back and at the front. And then this will be the corner section. So the reason we're doing this is because workbenches are super expensive, and the biggest part is just the steel. On top of the steel is the transport. If you have them made anywhere, it costs a lot to ship them because they're big and they're heavy. So rather than spending 10, 20 grand on benches, we're gonna try and do it in a modest budget of about 4 or 5 and get some really nice custom benches. So I've measured this out, and this is about the length that I need between the garage door and the corner, and from the corner to my other garage door. And what we'll do is weld some angle iron on the side of this bench that will mount this piece. We'll make a new frame that goes between this and this, and then we'll make our own cabinet doors for in the middle. And to do that, we went to the back of V&R's yard, and they have this, I think this is quarter or just under 1.5 by 1.5 angle, which is about the same as what those legs are. And then they've got this 1 inch, or might even be 3/4, a lot thinner stuff. And we're gonna make our upper cabinets out of that. So that'll be nice and light. We gotta weld that square and then just make some doors that we can open. Because we have been using these benches outside, they're a little bit rusty, so we're just gonna put some crud cutter on there, which has been outside waiting to go on, but everything just keeps getting delayed. The only issue with these benches is that they're a little bit low for me. I'm 6'4". So what we're gonna do is weld a nut into the corner of the angle iron, and then weld this to the bottom of the leg. And that will allow us to raise and lower it a little bit, and allow each leg to go down, and allow us to make the benches perfectly level. Just something simple. Once everything is connected, it's going to be super solid and stable. I don't think we need to connect everything to the floor. Cabinet doors as well. It's all going to be street signs, I think, from V&R. We'll put the street side on the inside, so when you open it, it'll be a stop sign or a yield sign or a road sign. And then when you close it, I think on the back side, we'll either try to wrap it or with like a really nice picture in it, so when you look back, it's one big giant mural, or we'll just paint it, I don't know. These are my garbage cans, and I've been putting the texture on these all summer, so I had some fires in them and then burned the paint off. So I want nice clean benches, but I do like the barn board rustic type thing, so we might clear coat this and then have these as garbage pails, because I do like that old vintage stuff, but not on the workbench, because stuff has to be clean for when we're working on it. So here we go. Good to do it outside. I think there's some Chinese steel under here somewhere. These are the legs that we're using. I just cut a 2-inch square plate, drilled a 3/4 inch hole in it, Take my 5/8 rod, stick that in nice and loose, and then I've got my nut on the top. I've turned the nut up with lots of this sticking out underneath because if any splatter gets in the threads, it's hard for you to spin it in and out. And then we'll weld this on the bottom of the angle iron, so we'll have adjustable legs with a little bit of a footprint. Nothing that's gonna hit the wall at the back or anything silly like that or stick out where you trip on it, and just enough to keep it secure. Here we go. Start with that corner, and what I'm gonna do is use one of these, which I've tipped over, to weld my legs on, just because this side is square and easy to C-clamp to. This will go right underneath that, and I can make it square now, and then weld my legs nice and square, straight up and down into the air, and then I've got my first base there. So here we go. Change of plans. I just put the tabletop on here and figured I'd weld around because actually this wasn't bent completely square. Luckily I caught that in time and we're not welding it too long. If you're wondering why it's still rusty, well, it's the other side that was clean, so it was the rusty side that was pointing out. The other ones turned out pretty good. So we'll weld these square. So then I've got 12 legs and as little work as possible. But then that middle section, this middle section will be completely open so I can roll stuff underneath. Here we go. This one was all bent, so I just cut it. Yeah, all the legs are adjustable because the floor is not perfect. I wanted it up a couple inches higher, and this is just about perfect. So you really want to be comfortable when you're working, and this is 90-degree angle on your arms. It's the same as when you're riding a motorcycle, you want your legs 90 degrees. This just gives you comfort. So this is a nice height for me. Sucks for Vince, but too bad, Vince and Stefan, too bad. All right, so we got the corner bench in place. I've got enough angle iron sticking out over the side that will hold this up, and then we're just putting the benches in place now. And we're gonna start with making sure that it's level and not teetering, and then I'll weld a piece of angle on the end here. And at the bottom, I don't think we're gonna put anything along the back. I don't really see the need for that. That's a waste of steel or wood. Once this is all laid out and in one piece, we can start laying out our upper cabinets and then mount them to the wood. But one thing at a time. Let's level and weld. Here we go. Secret. Under your breath you say, that's pretty good, that's close enough, and then out loud you say, perfect! So everybody around you hears it. You never know who's listening. One, it would make sense to put it at the back, but there's already strength because we bent it up at the back, so I'm going to put it more in the middle where I would be throwing something heavy or bracing. I need the brace there. I'll wait until I have more cutoffs and then just stick those in between here, whatever fits best. Zero waste. Steel is expensive. That's not bad. I can make that work. I just gotta trim this one little piece right there where the fold comes over. You're kind of at the mercy of the guy bending it, right? But that's kind of a, oh, look at that, yeah. I'm okay with that. Well, just, never mind.
Never mind, you just blend it in.
Big old gob of weld. We'll put an outlet or something right here. A hook for something. It's supposed to be like that. So in a factory with quality control, this wouldn't be long enough, but because I'm cheap, that'll work. Fill that up with a little bit of weld, call it no waste. Right there? Sure. I have a chop saw. I need to invest in a bandsaw. But even after all those, this is still the quickest. Those little zip cuts are just so awesome because they're so skinny, they cut so nice and quick. Got the benches all welded together. They aren't ever going anywhere. And now I've got this 1 inch by 1 inch angle iron that I'm going to use to make my upper cabinets. Those come in 6 foot lengths. So I'm going to make my cabinets 5 feet long in sections. That will cover on that side of the window. And then I need 10 feet to go from there to there. So I have one more bench as well, which is also 5 feet. So I'll make a modular into 5 foot sections and then make my middle section custom. Because they're 6 foot length, I'm gonna make them obviously a foot out and a foot tall. And then we got some nice upper cabinets. So now that the benches are all nicely welded together and level, what I'm gonna do is make a jig that's perfectly square, lay my pieces in there and then weld them. Then they're all exactly the same, and then cut my pieces to size. So I'll do that using the leftover cutoffs that I haven't used. If you take them and weld them to the bench just on one side, they'll just stay put. And then when you wanna pull them off, you just break them off and it's golden. Here we go. We got those 3 there. We got this one right here. Jig worked pretty good. Nice and square there. Nice and square there. And all the way down, that one was a little bit short. Not a big deal because that one will be on its own. The jig worked perfect, just long enough that we can now get rid of the jig. See how easy that is? Wonderful. Now, we got a little small one to make, so I should not have pulled up on this one. I'm jumping the gun here, but anyway, we'll make a small, I can still use that end. I can make a small one that goes from here to there, and then we're completely done with this jig. We'll set up a new one. I don't think we're gonna make frames for the doors. We're just gonna bend it out of the aluminum and then have a divider in between maybe. So once we're done that, we'll get into the doors, or maybe those doors, or maybe I'll look for a cabinet tomorrow. Anyway, so for the corner cabinet, all I'm gonna do is measure to the corners, Measure the corners, screw them to the wall. Vice grip a couple side pieces to the existing boxes already, and then just tack everything in place. Solid enough to take it off and weld it solid on the bench, and then done. Bam. So got the benches kind of figured out, and I wanted some drawers, toolbox drawers, and I couldn't find any that were the full 2 feet, but these were on sale for 250 bucks. So I bought 3 of them, and I got an even better deal, 200 bucks, because this one, somebody lost the keys to it, and it's closed because it was the display model. So we can fix that, no problem. What I'm gonna do is cut the bottom off and weld it to the bottom of that one, or weld the top on, so I have nice top to bottom drawers, and it'll be perfect. Even buying a bottom box and trimming it, cheapest one is 500 bucks. I'm still ahead at 700 for 3 boxes, and I get like an extra drawer by the time I'm done, I think. If you really need a tool and it's in your buddy's box, here you go, I'll give you a little secret. I mean, they're just rivets. You can just rivet it again 10 minutes later. Fantastic. Oh no, why did you hit it there? Oh, that's gross. Oh, epic fail. That's what happens when, that's reality. You wanna look cool like an actor with something blowing up behind him, and all that happens is a piece of shrapnel gets lodged in the back of his head. Here we go. Come back out again because we're going to vinyl wrap them. So when I'm done with all the grinding, we'll lube them all up nice. Super happy how that turned out. Now I gotta do the one right here. So that's a nice metal shelf, so I'll cut that in half and that will go on the other side there. I got this one and I got half of this one, so I cut the bottom off of this one and welded it to that one, 3 drawers up. And now I'm taking the top of this one and cutting the top off of this one and welding it on there so the drawers stay nice and tight in that corner. And then I know my distance for making my cabinet doors. It's basically rinse and repeat except backwards. Make sense? Here we go. Alright, so I got the metal cabinets all welded up. Now we just got to make the doors. And again, steel is expensive, so if you just drive around late at night, there's a whole bunch of doors. They're scattered all over the place. You just got to take them off these posts, and then the county will just replace them. So we've got all these signs here. We'll just flip them over. We'll put the shiny side to the inside, and then we'll vinyl wrap the outside, and nobody will ever know. You gotta be quick. Like 1 or 2 guys really helps make the job go quicker. I'm just kidding. These are all at V&R. They do get replaced. Look at that. Barely even have any bullet holes in them. So they'll make perfect cabinet doors. We'll bend them up to size. And it'll be fantastic. Here we go. All right, I got my signs figured out. Save my 2 biggest ones just in case. Start with the small ones. And I already bent up a pair just so it looks like I know what I'm doing when I make the video on you. Because I'm gonna be honest, this is the first time I've made cabinet doors out of street signs. Shh, don't tell anybody on the internet. Anyway, I'm gonna cut. I try to avoid the holes so we can cut on either side, bend it 2 inches, or cut it 2 inches bigger, and then you can fold it over a lip. I got my hinges coming in the mail, door handles coming in the mail. We got lots of signs to work with, so now it's just a matter of finding ones that are nice and clean on the backside, because we're gonna vinyl wrap them, hopefully, and if they're dirty like this, you'll be able to see the lines and stuff. So ones that have big giant stains on them, that will show through. So anyway, we're gonna carry on bending and cutting. Expensive shops would have a shear where you can shear that really nice. I have a skill saw and some safety glasses and hearing protection. Here we go. Which is 15, 17 and a half. Change of plans, not wide enough. Now this door, because that's 28, I only need 14, so we'll go 16. That's much better. $25 1/4. So perfect. cabinet doors here. I got these hinges, just cheapies off of Amazon. I'm just riveting them in place. The issue is that I had to grind these heads of the rivets down because the screw was countersunk, because they're supposed to close perfectly on its own, but that's an easy fix because that's why you bend up one door and then see what happens, because I can just bend this inside lip in a bit farther and that will be just fine. So then the door might only open that far instead of that far. No worries, but then we don't have to grind the lips off. I got these sweet little kitchen handles that just big enough for my hand to grab, and then we've got magnets that I think the top lip wasn't tall enough. I remember now that was only a ½ inch, whereas this is an inch. If it's a full inch, I can take pliers and just bend it down, bend a little tab, and then just weld a little thing right here and then stick a magnet on it. And I got these magnets and just 3M tape. Nice big magnets, size of my thumb. And then we'll just glue those, and then that will keep the cabinet closed. So now that we've got one in place, luckily I never figured out exactly where I wanted my brake, so I never took it off my little wheeled cart, so I can wheel it out into this little area here so I don't have to walk. So I can do each cabinet door kind of custom on my own. Everyone's just going to be a little bit different. So we measure, we'll put it up, fold it in place, hang it, move on to the next one. These should all be the same, but yeah, here we go. Okay, we want to measure the width across, which is 33.5. And then we're going to split that in half and then add a 1/4 inch all the way around. So just a 1/4 inch on either side for the hinges, and then that'll give us enough space. And that is 23 5/8. That way. Very important that you put your sign into the brake the right way. This one's got 4 holes all the way around. We'll just go in between that if we can. So 33.5 divided by 2. So that's 16 3/4. And then we're gonna add 2 inches on either side so we can fold that lip over. So we're going 18 3/4. And we were 23 5/8. We're gonna keep the bottom straight because it's gonna go across the bottom wood. I'm gonna go 24 5/8 and just bend the top over an inch. We're gonna bend an inch up. We're gonna go past 90 because the hinges, if I'm 90, the rivets when they're closed hit each other. So I'm going 16.5 to the outside because you'll add that lip and it'll end up being more than you think. My poor brake. Now we're gonna cut some angles and then an inch in so that I can fold the top lip over. 23 5/8. Touch more. Oh, look at that.
rinse and repeat.
Just a little hint, when you are hanging your hinges, hang around the corner and then just fold them over the edge. Don't stick them on like that. If you fold them over the edge, they stay nice and square. And it sucks when you go in too far and the hinge doesn't close all the way. So by holding it like this and then drilling the holes, you get them perfect every time. You want a nice even gap all the way along the bottom, all the way along the top, and once you get used to the aluminum bending and the siding and that, because the first ones, here's my later ones, which have a really nice gap all the way along, like nice gap in the middle perfectly, and then here's my first ones that are not as perfect. A little, well, not bad. This one was the worst one, I think. It's pretty tight, and then the one is down a hair. Actually, they're not bad. I'm pretty happy with it. Take your time and make sure that when you're welding it up, that you weld them square. That is important because otherwise they'll be fighting you constantly. Here we go. Okay, so I roughly divide the space in 3, subtract a 2-inch for my uprights in between the cabinet doors. I didn't get too fussy. I can just measure exactly the space that's in between and then make that specific for that side. But before I can weld these uprights in, I'm gonna have to lay the bottom in here because I should have got some flat bar, but I don't have flat bar. So I'm gonna weld the angle iron in there, but then it's gonna be hard to put the bottom in. So these cabinets are now part of this shop. They're not ever coming out ever again. So I am going to cut the bottom out of 3/4 inch plywood, probably router a little strip in there so I can put some LED lighting, tuck that up in there. And then I grabbed a 1/2 inch plywood for the top. It being 5 feet, I can get 4 strips of 5 feet, which is everything behind me and the spot of the door there. And then the 3 foot by 4 foot section can go in the corner nicely. So that should be my 3/4. I got a 1/2 inch plywood for the top, and then we'll still put aluminum sides on here. Here we go. Now the screws holding this to the wall are at the back. They'll get covered up by this plywood. Jam that into the back. Look at that. Fits. Screw that down. Pull that down just a hair. And then we'll put our uprights in. And because it's angle iron, that will push on it down also. Sweet. Okay, so I put a 1/2 inch plywood on the top. That leaves me a tiny gap. Just a little bit of a gap there. And that will work when I start putting my bars underneath. I only riveted it because the vertical bars are going to be holding up on this. The screws to hold this whole cabinet to the wall is behind the plywood on the top and on the bottom. And now once I put the vertical bars in there, I can't remove the plywood. So basically these are stuck here forever. I put the signs on the inside, just jammed them up in the side there. And now they will never be able to come out either. So we'll make the vertical bars and one step closer. Here we go. So to keep the doors closed, I took a little bar, drilled a hole in there just under 3/8, then tapped it. I can screw a bolt in there right through, and then I can weld a bar like this that would go in between the doors, and then I can put a jam nut in the back and open or put these in closer farther so that I can keep the doors closed. Weld them in between the two pillars, and then put the magnet on the inside. The magnet hits the bolt and keeps the door closed. And what's nice is that I can bring the bolt in or out and then just jam it with a nut in the back, and we are all set. So we'll do that in between each one. You would only need to do it on the one because I could have the one door butt up to this one, but I like the look of the bars in between, and it's only 3 extra bars. So we're gonna do that, then make the doors for over there and the top section for that. Put the handles on it, which are gonna look sick. I made a little T-bar that hangs over the top and then has the holes drilled for the proper width on that. Then I can take that, hang it on the top, slide it over to where I want my handles, and then I can just drill through the existing holes and all my handles will be in the same spot. There we go. All right, so to keep the bottom doors closed, I just took all my leftover cut off angle irons, drilled them and tapped them so I could put a 1/2 inch bolt in there. That gives me about 1.5 inches of tolerance to move it back and forth. And then we'll stick the magnets on those and the handles on the bottom. And she's all done, other than I'm missing 2 hinges. I'm short 2 hinges. I calculated wrong, but I might add a 3rd hinge everywhere too, because this little Milwaukee, the new 18 rivet gun, this thing is amazing. It goes so fast, love it. Here we go. All right, so that's a long enough video. I gotta get back to work, but a lot of you guys have seen a lot of comments about being OCD in that. That's why I took a lot of care to make sure that each one of these is straight up and down. Maybe not that one. Yeah, top, see? That way when I open it, not that one. Yeah, no, not that one. Yeah, see? I took a lot of time to make sure that all of them are facing the proper way, so when you guys see it, you don't get triggered by your OCD-ness. All right, that'll do it for this video. It's long enough. We'll do more to the cabinets with the lighting. We'll start hanging the tools up, figuring that out. I don't want to get too deep into that because if we're gonna do the wrap, I don't know, we'll probably have to put some sort of tin or something on the wood underneath. So if you guys are designers or you have any ideas, or you can make an abstract of the Audi or the C10 or something like that and have any ideas, you can send that to debossinquiries@gmail.com and maybe we can get a hold of you and pay you for your time. That was a solid 3 days, 10-hour long days, getting that done, spread out over 6 months. But now it's time to get back to work. So I want to give a huge thank you to everybody at V&R who lets me scavenge through the backyard, trade junk engine blocks for good straight angle iron. And you guys can do that too. Go there often. They are in St. Anne's there. They got a lot of stuff around and everything is usually for sale if you find the right person. The issue is they don't keep anything for very long. So bring your scrap there, have a little drive around, wheel and deal. It's a lot of fun, and you can make stuff like this, turn junk into something useful again. I'm going to finish up all the small last little things. So I was short a little bit of wood, so we'll hang the last of the wood. Little things like that here and there, and I'll be doing that over the next month or so, and then I'll be doing a full walk around in my dream shop because I'm like 95% there. super happy with this. You guys can do it too. So, but it's a lot of work and it takes a lot of time. You'd be surprised how long it takes. We'll go over some costs and stuff too, because I probably have twice as much into the inside of the building, wiring, insulation, all that, than it cost to put up the building in the first place. So putting the building up took a week and was the cheapest part of the whole shop. So thanks for watching, guys. If you're not filthy, you're not rich. And if you don't do it yourself, nobody's gonna do it for you. So here we go.